All right, folks, as you can see behind me, I've got some pigs that have tore up their pasture pretty good. They're needing a new area to get moved to, and we've got plenty of space here behind us. That needs the pigs to get through that to clear out some of the brush on it. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to get them moved. Let's take a closer look here. I've got a previous video of what it looked like when I put them on this area. What do you think, pigs? Are you ready for some fresh ground? I think they are. It got really wet this week. We had about 3 inches of rain, so it got a little bit more tore up than what I wanted to. But that's fine. We'll get it cleaned up, won't we? And as you can see down here, I've got to do a little bit of work before I can get them moved. I'm a part-time farmer, full-time dad, full-time job, so I don't always get to my projects when I want to. So we got a lot of lumber laying in the way down here that I got to get out. That way I can run their fence through there and they'll have somewhere to be able to hang out. So follow along with me as we get this cleaned up today.
Our ultimate goal in this area is to turn it into a silvopasture. In case you didn't know, a silvopasture uses trees and grass in combination to provide shelter, shade, and feed for animals. In order to do this though, I needed to thin the tree canopy, so this winter I cut down some of the trees. And here you can see I'm processing them. I'm taking the smaller limbs and stacking them together, hoping my pigs will use those as shelter in their new area. The bigger pieces we'll use for firewood this winter. I've also had requests to see how I move my pig fence. Well, really as far as moving the pigs, I just open it up and let them roam for a while. They'll follow me back in with a bucket as soon as I want them to. It does take quite a bit of effort to go through the multiple rows with the pig fence, so I have to use my chainsaw and cut a path. The more times I do this though, the easier it should get, as that path should be there and the pigs will help me clear even more spaces to be able to fit the fence through.
All right, folks, magic of editing. Today is actually the next day. I ran out of time last night to be able to finish filming, and right now I've got to get these ones fed. You can hear and see they're pretty hungry, so let's do that and then I'll follow up with you. What do you think? You hungry? So right now, we found that to be the most effective way to feed them. At first, we were able to use the pans and get in there and pour it in. Right now, if we try to get in there, it seems like they almost knock us over before we can get to it. And it targets the areas we want them to really clean up. So far, they've only been in here for a day, and I can already tell the impact they're starting to make. Look down in here. See all of this? They've already started to till all of that up. Haven't you? You've been working hard. And last night when I first put them in here, we'll see if we can get any one that is close. I seen a few of them. I can't really see them from here, but they were just nibbling on these little green leaves that were coming off the multiple rows already. So that was great. That's exactly what I want them to do. They seem very excited to do so. This is what this area looks like before we get in here, so that way we'll have a good shot of the after. Wow, you can already tell they're doing some work down here. Quite a bit of brush in here, you can tell. A lot of multiple rows. I actually had to cut some paths just to get through this. That's why it took me so long to get finished yesterday. I was hoping to be done quicker, but you could tell the pigs didn't mind. We let them out of the fence and they just hung around me until I was ready to feed them. They knew that I was coming back. We're trying to use this to see if maybe they'll use that as their shelter. What? You already got feed? Go eat. I think I'm giving them something else. We're going to see if they're going to use this area with all the branches that we stacked up maybe as their shelter, because it's really warm now. It's a beautiful week here in April. It's supposed to be 70s and low 50s at night, so that'd be perfect weather for them. You can already see again just how much they're starting to root up already. Doing a good job, and we'll do a closer view of what they were on. So you can tell we got a lot of impact in here, but this will make it so easy for me to come through now and just take my chainsaw and cut out a few of these instead of having to fight through, because this essentially looked like the area that they're in now. So they didn't get everything, but they got quite a bit. I would rather come back through and finish it up myself than have to keep them on an area longer than they should be and then them destroy the soil completely. So here's the shelter they were using. I'd like to eventually figure out how to move it a little better, but right now I'm not sure how to do that, so that's why it's staying up here. We'll take a look at the first area they were in. You can already tell that it's starting to recover pretty good. We planted some red clover and excuse me, planted some red clover and some purple top turnips in here, and we'll see if we can find some that are already germinating. Let's see. Yeah, you can see it, some of it right in here starting to germinate. So we've had plenty of moisture, it's just been a little bit cold, so that's why you're seeing a lot of the onions or what's popping up, and the grass that was here before. The orchard grass, it doesn't mind the cool weather. So also, while we're up here, I'll show you a couple of our rotational grazing paddocks that we've used. I think I hear some deer off in the woods. So these areas, the furthest one we're going to go to is the one that's had the most rest. Each one of these, they were in for about 3 or 4 days, and we got them moved on. Been trying to move them a lot faster this spring. Last spring they were still on the bottom, weren't eating a ton of grass, so. All right, so this is the first area they were on. And you can tell, getting quite a bit of regrowth already. So I'm happy with that. And this was the second area they had. You can tell it's only been a couple days rested. And then this is what I just moved them off of yesterday. Like I always say in all the videos, we have to make sure that we leave something each time, because if we take it down to nothing, then there won't be anything. It'll just take so much longer for it to grow back. So even though to me, I say this field was done, you can still see there was plenty of grass in here for somebody that's doing the set stocking. But compare that to this clear visible line right here where they couldn't get across, and you can tell just how much they had taken off. So let's follow up with the boys, see how they're doing. What are you guys thinking? Wow, we're getting a beautiful sunset today, aren't we, boys? So we put them up on here on top of the hill. How you doing today? Got a couple flies. So yesterday we used the experimental fly spray. I put apple cider vinegar, lemongrass, and I believe spearmint mixed with some water to dilute it a little bit. We sprayed it on them because yesterday each one of these had about 25 or 30 flies on them. So it seems to be working. Each one of them have 4 or 5 now, which if you've ever been around cattle, especially during the spring, during fly season, that's a pretty good rate, isn't it, buddy? Say, this is much better. So the theory I heard behind the fly spray was that it gives them a little bit of an acidic taste to their skin when you just spray it over them. Try not to get it in their eyes, but it's not toxic, so just lightly spray it on them. Try to keep the flies off of them a little bit. Yeah, seems to be working so far, or at least helping to minimize them. I don't want to use chemicals. I know chemical fly spray would probably work better, but I'd rather not spray chemicals on my food, so that's why we don't want to do that. But you can see they're already starting to work that down a little bit. I'd say they'll have a couple more days in there, won't you, boys? And then we'll get them moved out some fresh grass. We're just starting to get our spring flush over here. Seems like it's always takes forever when you're in the grazing business. If you're someone that hates mowing your yard, you feel like the grass is always growing, but as soon as you start grazing the grass, you feel like it never grows at all. But we're almost there. We made it through the winter with these sheep and those 2 steers, and we fed 16 square bales of hay all winter. So that was in Ohio they were running $4 or $5 a bale, so that was right about $80 worth of hay for all of these animals all winter, through rotational grazing and stockpiling. So that method definitely works. It's also why I'm such a big believer in moving these pigs too. If it helps the grazers to be moved so much, I mean, it's obviously got to help those animals not to stay on that area. Like, think about that. Look at that. There's no way that those animals should have stayed on that much longer. In comparison to where they could be here. And they were so happy when I let them out last night and gave them a fresh area. Uh-oh, we got a struggle. Seems like no matter how I try to feed them, they always end up fighting with each other over the last little bit of it. I wish I could figure that out, but unfortunately that just seems to be the pig nature. So we're gonna follow up with these in a week and 2 weeks and see how well they're clearing this out. This is also 4 sections of the netting. I've only been giving them 2 so far, so I believe with the 4 sections they should last quite a bit longer. And this is the thickest area they've had so far. I mean, as you can tell, it's just loaded with multiple rows in here. So they've got quite a bit of work to do for me, and I'm not sure where all these old logs came from. So that's kind of why I decided to build that brush pile on top of this, because it wasn't going to be very useful anyway. So maybe that'll be their shelter for now, since it's going to be so nice and warm. So as you can see behind me, these pigs have a lot of work to do to get this area cleaned up. We're going to make a series of videos on this section. We're going to do 1 week, 2 week videos to show you the progress that they're making. If you'd like to follow along and you enjoy this content, please subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate everybody taking the time to watch these, and hopefully you can learn something along the way. We're not experts by any means, but we've had a few animals, so we're just trying to teach people that maybe are getting new into it and learning some new ways. If you've always conventionally kept your animals, find ways to move them around. As far as I can tell, it has a ton of benefits. But like I said, thank you for watching and have a nice day.